to get started, I want to gather up all of my supplies first. Okay, so again, I have this Tyvek to shield the table from getting paint on it. I have a cheap plastic palette, a container of water, a couple of palette knives. I just need one, a couple of brushes. I'm going to show you what brush I'm using. I like to use this filbert brush that's slightly tapered. I have a couple of different sizes, and then this tiny brush, smaller round brush. Okay, so I have a couple of different brushes set aside, my water, my palette knife, and then I'm going to use Pyrrole Red, okay, Ultramarine Blue, and Cadmium Yellow. It's okay if you don't have these exact colors. I like using these colors because they're closer to the primaries that I'm intending, to use. For example, there's Cadmium Red Medium. When you look at the Cadmium Red Medium and compare it to the Pyrrole Red looks a little, they look the same in the video, but there's a little bit more, this is more orange. The Cadmium Red Medium feels a little warmer than this Pyrrole Red. So that's why I like to use the Pyrrole Red. If you have Cadmium Red, it's fine. Don't make a big deal out of it. The primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, okay? So if you have a red, a yellow, and a blue, when you mix them, you're more or less gonna get the secondary colors that you're expecting. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dive in. I have my color wheel, and I'm gonna start off with yellow. I don't need a bunch, so I'm just gonna put a little tiny pile there. Paper towels I'm using are these blue paper towels. These blue shop towels don't have lint, right? So they won't get lint on your paintbrushes and in your paint. And then I'm gonna go ahead and dip my brush first in the water. It's a little stiff. So I'm just dipping my brush first in the water and then blotting it dry, and then I'll dip it into the paint. It's really important that you blot it dry before you dip it into the paint. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just align this as close to the line as possible. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. Okay, so it's not dry yet, but I'm getting a little bit antsy to get this done, so I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of red. You don't need a bunch. Make sure my brush is super, super clean. We don't want any yellow on our brush. And I blotted out all the water, so it's just barely damp. We're not doing watercolor here. We're trying to do opaque acrylic. And while I have this red out, I'm going to go ahead and mix my orange. I'm going to put 50-50, so I'm going to put equal amounts of red with equal amounts of yellow. And you don't need a bunch, just a little tiny pile. And I'm going to go ahead and move my yellow over here first. I'll just take some of it. Let's put this back. So I'm just going to split my yellow in half And I'm going to split my red in half. This red is really strong, right? So I'm getting an orange, but it's still got too much red in it. So I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. Yeah, the red is really strong, so you don't want to start off with too much red. The pigments of the red overpower the pigments of the yellow. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna clean my brush, make sure it has no red on it. Blot it dry really well. And then that orange is pretty transparent, okay? So I'm gonna have to put a couple of coats. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix my yellow orange, okay? So I'm gonna start off with this yellow over here and add a little bit of orange to it. So just remember that the darker colors, when you're adding darker colors to lighter colors, the darker colors are gonna be overpowering. I'm gonna get that big brush, clean it off, make sure it's really super clean. Blot it dry. This paper towel is too wet. We're gonna grab another paper towel. Okay. Move my palette aside, bring this back. Okay, so now I'm gonna use this yellow orange and paint in here. And now I'm gonna mix my red orange. I keep switching to new paper towels. I'm going to clean the palette off so I can start fresh with blue and purples. Just make sure your palette is dry so you don't have that extra moisture. Okay, so now we're going to go, I'm going to use ultramarine blue, fresh paper towel. It was pretty dark. See if I adjust the lighting. There we go. See that? Got a second of it. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix the purple violet. It's gonna look really dark. Okay, so I mixed those three colors first. It's hard to see with the glare. I'm going to show you what that looks like when I add a little bit of white to it. Okay, so when I add a little bit of white to this, that's what it looks like. Kind of a muted violet. Okay, see the lighting is really bad, so don't try to judge it based upon the lighting that I'm using. Kind of see, it's too wet, you're getting too much of a glare. When it dries, you'll be able to see the distinction. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my blue, green, green, and yellow, green area. Okay, so I mixed all three of those colors first. It's hard to see. That is green. It just looks so dark in this lighting. There, can you see that green? The blue is still quite transparent, but there's like the green and the blue green.